The question was about F2ing, right? How do I stop F2ing? So what I did, the way that I stopped really using it, is I wanted my camera hotkeys to be on these keys, these first 6 function keys. So that meant that I needed to rebind F2 to something else, right? Which I considered doing, and then I said, nah, I'm not gonna do that. So now, when I F2, I literally click the thing, and because I'm a StarCraft person, because I have read the ancient texts and listened to the famed orators, I know that clicking things is bad, and you should always use hotkeys. And so every time I F2, I feel a little bit bad about it. So that's an emotional piece of guidance that I give myself. I think chat gave you the meme answer of unbind it, but that was like a semi-legit answer, is because I wanted to use camera hotkeys, so I was very motivated to unbind it. It wasn't just a punitive thing where I'm like, I'm going to unbind this because I think that I'm bad for using it. What race do you play Civiset? Because that actually, I think, impacts it. I think that impacts it a lot. Hey, pup. Sorry if you came in a while ago. I didn't see you before now. Reminded you of Day 9. I've actually gotten that a couple times. I've told some like stories on stream too. Had people say that was a Day 9 story. Negative reinforcement. No, see, that's what we want to avoid. I think in a way, like not because negative reinforcement doesn't work, because it does. Like just from a purely cognitive science standpoint. But we want to. As much as we can, keep good emotions about what we're doing in StarCraft, because if you have bad emotions about what you're doing in StarCraft, you are going to not practice as much, right? And that's the ultimate thing that is the worst for you in all of StarCraft, right? If you are feeling bad, so this is why it's bad to like have a mindset of, oh, my race is bad or such and such is unfair, like, because if you hit that, you're going to get pissed and not want a ladder, right? The very first thing is, actually we talked about this in Archives Book Club, ignition, right? Wanting to do the thing and loving the thing. If you make yourself not love the thing, that runs counter to everything. So that's first. Then, how can we disincentivize bad habits? Well, you can make them a little bit cumbersome. If you make yourself have to F2 by clicking, you're not really going to want to do that. It's okay, so I guess the distinction, you're raising a good point here, QQ and Check. The distinction maybe that I didn't draw with my words, but that I had in my head, let me try to get that out, is between feeling upset or angry with myself, feeling bad, right? And a sensation of something being cumbersome, not liking, something being uncomfortable, right? That sensation of discomfort when I have to go over here and click the F2 like interface thing, right? I don't like that. And so it makes me aware that it's happening. It's like a little prick. It's just a little poke on your wrist kind of thing. So Sifa says Protoss, I intend on fixing my F2 usage with Toss because my Zerg can just A-move to victory. So it's interesting because I think Zerg actually is the most incentivized race to not use F2, because you have this nice mechanism to hotkey things specifically into your army. I find when I was playing my Zerg off race, which is not very good, it's like maybe plat at best, that hotkeying eggs both feels really good when you do it, and is a really good workflow thing. But as far as a technique for Protoss, let's look through this replay here, and I think I can actually give you, something that will maybe help here. What compositions do you usually play with Civiset? I wanna look through this replay just to check what I was looking for before, which is the drone count. And then we'll move on to the warp-in thing for a second. Okay, so here, this is just a little thing, if people are learning, that I picked up from Printf. You want a lot of information at this phase of the game. You want to know, are there 3 hatcheries, and what is the tech? And what could the tech be? So we could do 2 of those things at a time by sending the Shade to count drones, and the Adept away from danger, 1, and 2, to go see the presence of this hatch. So I always do this. So here, we do a little loopy thing, and it's like 5 drones. So this is alarm bells normally, but I think opponent just isn't macroing very efficiently. Maybe they missed some injects or something. That queen's low energy. This queen's low energy. I don't know why they don't have drones. How many links they have? 6? Yeah. I think it's just because I've been losing a lot tonight, but I am at Marslow. Okay. So you're doing lots of standard charge slot, Immortal Archon, maybe some warpers. Okay. So if you're predominantly running off of gateway units, right? Your main thing is that you're going to be warping. I can't believe she lived, dude. Like, I'm not stutter stepping, which I think is why she makes it out. I could have maybe gotten a drone, actually, and still gotten her out. If I was really on top of it. I wasn't macroing behind, so no real excuse. Let's go ahead and fast forward to the fights here, and I'll show you what I mean. This still Chaos loves the egg hockey. That's cool. Yeah, it feels really fun. Workflow's just a term, Pup. That's not... I'm not... Don't make it be something that ain't, okay? Actually, you know what? We can, Are you a monster for calling your units it? No, dude. No. I call the Adepts ladies because they specifically are, right? You're being, like, it's a good thing, I think, right? Because that's a big push for, like, being accepting of people and whatnot. So, okay. If we watch what I do here, right? Let's back up just a tiny bit more and I'll show you what I mean. And it would be better if you watch the VOD of this, but you can still kind of see it. So right now we have one Adept hotkey, right? One Adept hotkey. And we're about to do this warp in of an additional 3, and then we're going to go attack with 7 adepts, right? The only Adept that we have hotkeyed is the one that is, I think, across the map somewhere, maybe? Oh, no, okay. This is the one from across the map. So we do this big warp in. Watch right here. Watch the Adept hotkey. We're going to warp in one more. As soon as I finish the warp in, I box and I hotkey, and then we go.
The firstborn shall persevere.
Is this Hilltop Hoods the music? The music is by an artist named
Upgrade is ready for use.
She's a SoundCloud guy. SoundCloud composer. So now let's fast forward to the fights, because it's the same thing there. Alright, so let's jump ahead to after the big boys come out of here.
Glorious combat is upon us.
So here, again, I get my Immortals ready, I warp in some sentries, I hotkey this stuff, and now we move out. And my Prism's going to follow behind, but the important bit... Oh, okay, I guess we warp in one more round. And always, it's rapid fire warp in, which you can Google rapid fire if you don't know how to do that. And then box. Warp in, and then box. So what I did to practice this when I first started learning it is literally went in a custom game, warp in, rapid fire, after I first, created the hotkeys, box immediately. Warp in, box. And I maxed out. I tried to probe up, and then warp in and box. So the macro practice was literally... I'm going to build gates, I'm going to build pylons, I'm going to build Nexi. I'm going to hit space, which is my hotkey for wherever I'm warping in. It's kind of like the front of whatever. I'm going to warp in a big circle, I'm going to box. I found that my biggest problem was consistently remembering to hotkey my robo and Stargate units. I was able to hotkey my gateway units as a... Okay, so you've got that skill. That's awesome. So... This is a bad example because I only make the 2 Immortals. Say more about your Space Hotkey. Space Hotkey is the front of the world. So I mentioned before, I think if you look at this clip, the Hotkeys clip, which is on YouTube if you want to learn more about the Hotkeys. But the short important bit here is I use these 7 keys to set camera locations for these 7 keys. So normally people do control 1, 2, 3, 4 to set 1, 2, 3, 4 camera jumps. I use these because contorting my hand into that motion gives me a repetitive stress or repetitive strain thing. So I don't do that. But the one that I do set with control is control space because this motion feels easy for my hand. This hits control, this hits space. It's fine. And then space is just go to the front, right? Go to the front. Warp in, go to the front. Once the prism comes out, I hotkey the prism to tilde, and then I just double tap to that, and I do my warp in there. The other problem, though, Civiset's problem here on hotkeying their Stargate and Robo units, the best approximation I could come up with for you maybe would be when I was playing like pure straight up macro PVCs, and I'm producing, Immortals off of 2 Robos, I would always have my Robos in the nat, right? I would have them further back. And so, and they would get stuck, because I always keep an Adept on hold position in the door. So I would listen for I return to serve, right? And as soon as you hear that, you know, okay, I gotta let the big boys out. So the lady needs to open the door for the big boys, right? So I have the lady hotkey to X, I tap to that, and then I can box the big boys, hotkey him in, move the lady back, and hold position the lady, right? And you get very fluent at doing that really quickly. It's kind of a pain, but you could do that. It would work best if you have everything synced up, right? But just using the sound cues and going, okay, that happened. I'm going to be Pavlov's dog. I have to go do a thing when I hear this noise, right? Those are about the only things I could think of. Reinforcing a reaction to a specific audio cue. Yes, exactly, so chaos. Exactly. So yeah, we're talking about camera hotkey, QQ inject, uses spacebar for main army. That's interesting. I feel like a lot of people use 1, 2, or 3 for that. But hey, I mean, if it works, it works. Let's see. Pup is saying a lot of Zerg space hotkey rotations on spacebar. Yeah, I don't like that inject method, because that's the one where your queen AI can mess up. I have a real life friend who does it that way. I really don't like it. You're welcome to call me one of the words. I mean, I don't know. Distal Chaos is a cool name, right? Yeah, QQ inject is Terran, so it's kind of a moot point for them. But yeah, for Zergs who do the spacebar thing, like, I don't like it because it's unreliable, right? You don't know when you hit spacebar what's going to happen, but if you train yourself to use camera hotkeys, it's deterministic. I just feel like that's strictly better. It's harder. There's a bigger upfront investment cost, and maybe if you're a new player and you don't have access to a lot of the kind of traditional wisdom type of thing, maybe then you would want to do something like that. But I think anybody who cares enough to watch StarCraft streams and stuff probably would be well served to not do that as their inject method.
We don't have enough minerals.
It's like my opinion, man. Still Chaos is 2 name of a long